Hi everyone, I'm Charan Prajwal. I'm working at GeekyAnts as a DevOps Engineer. Today, this is the second part of the Argo series where we cover the production use cases, how we can use ArgoCD in production and the GitOps patterns. Let's get started. So what we are covering today, we'll start with the CI/CD and GitOps handshake. We'll see how GitOps fits into the CI/CD pipeline, and then we'll see the app of apps pattern to manage multiple microservices, and then we'll see how you can configure multiple clusters in your multi-cluster deployment using ArgoCD. And then we'll see how we can leverage observability to bring in visualization and incident report using alerts with the monitoring stack. And then we'll see some real world lessons and takeaways that we have learned so that you don't have to learn it in the hard way. Starting with the CI/CD, just to clear things up, GitOps does not replace your CI. It in fact completes the complete CI/CD pipeline. So it just fits into the pipeline flow, wherein your CI repo is basically for your source code and linting and image builds, wherein your artifact is built and pushed to a container registry. Post that, the GitHub Actions job updates the CD repo, which is a separate repository, wherein that is tagged with ArgoCD. Once it detects the change in the CD, it will sync the actual state to the desired change. It matches it so that you don't have to manually go and update the cluster. So it basically ensures that the latest change on the CD repo is synced and deployed to the Kubernetes cluster. So just to demonstrate the app which I'll be using, you would have seen this app. This is given by Docker as a sample app to try out few microservices. I've just forked it from there. So this is just a voting web app that stores data to the Redis and Redis queue, and then it is processed by a .NET worker and eventually stored into a database that is being polled by the Node.js app in the real time. So the vote is shown in the real time. Just to show you the current state of the app, this is the Python web app, and the Node.js result app wherein the results are shown is here. Just to confirm the working. It is working. It is healthy and it's working fine. So this is the app we'll be using. As you can see, we'll be changing this just to trigger a deployment and see if how things are working here. I'll just remove all the extra exclamatory marks to trigger a deployment. Let's get started. This is the code, and this is the pipeline that we have. This basically has two jobs. One job is to detect which service has gone through a latest commit, and only that job is being built here, pushed to a GitHub repository, and that image is being updated to a separate repository, that is the CD repository. And then and once here the job is done, then the remaining stuff is carried out by the ArgoCD. So that we'll see it in action. So I'll just make some changes to this one, as I mentioned. I'll just remove the extra exclamatory mark and commit it just to trigger a deployment. Yeah, it is pushed now. So just to see, yeah, the job has been triggered, and if you could see what service has been triggered, so that image will be, the vote service image will be built and pushed to a GitHub container registry. I am using a GitHub container registry here. So once all the push is made and this latest digest is updated in the CD repository, and once the CD repository is updated, you know how GitOps the ArgoCD does. It will sync the latest change to the cluster. So once this job is updated, it has completed its job on updating the repository. So if you look at our CD repository, so as you can see here, the vote manifest has been updated. It has just updated it now. So let's see how, let's see if the app is in sync. You can see here that auto sync is enabled. By default, auto sync takes 3 minutes to sync. So let's not wait for the 3 minutes to happen. Let's just sync it for manual, just for the demo. Yeah, so it has deployed it, the replica set and the boot. Yeah, it is healthy now. So if you could see, I have removed this, right? So let's see if it is working. Yeah, it has gone now. Just to check the health of the app, let's say it is 31,001. Yeah, it is healthy as usual. So this is how GitOps fits into your CI/CD workflow and does the necessary changes and takes it from there. Yeah, so the next concept that we have is the app of apps pattern. Now let's talk about a pattern that is super helpful while managing multiple microservices and environments. The concept is of a parent-child application, wherein a parent application manages all the child microservices beneath it. You define a root application. That root application will be the sole control where it manages all the child applications. Here, using this pattern brings standardization, wherein you just know all the templates and the standard approach to follow, and then you just have add microservices as you build, as you expand. The best practices is to keep in mind is to use a flat directory and not loop in subdirectories inside the child app, just to be sure that we don't waste a lot of time while debugging. And then just to avoid the sync waves and loops. Let's say you use a sync loop that creates let's say you use a helm hooks, so that might create sync waves that will continuously be applying to your cluster. So that is one thing you can avoid. And the best practice is to use a external secret manager and not hard code any secrets. You can use external secret managers like a vault or SOPS. That is best alternative instead of uh, hard coding the secrets or even using a Kubernetes secrets. Let's see app of apps in demo. Let's see how it helps us in deploying multiple microservices at once using the parent and the root concept. So I have two different files defined for two different environments, the dev and the prod. And then I have a root application here. This is the root parent application that manages all the child applications defined here. So these are all the files of ArgoCD applications which are in form of a Helm chart. So I've just all the values defined here are referenced from the file that I provide when I run the command. And this folder is basically all the Kubernetes manifest present here. So let's see it in action. Let's see how it helps us in deploying multiple apps at once. Let's install the prod first. Yeah, it's deployed. Just to verify. Yeah, as you can see, the app of apps pattern has done its job. If you could see, it has deployed the root application and its corresponding worker nodes. Its corresponding child applications. So yeah, that is how you deploy a app of apps pattern scale that is scalable and easy to maintain. Let's talk about ArgoCD at scale. Let's see how you can deploy multiple clusters and connect it with your ArgoCD and see how you can manage multiple clusters. So the setup is simple. Once you have the context of your cluster, you can just use the ArgoCD cluster add command. That will help you register a cluster in your ArgoCD. Post that, the best practice is to use a separate cluster for separate environments, uh, uh, and then uh, and then configure a role-based access control so that only the teams with the right access have only the required access on the required clusters, and things don't mess up. That can be done using a service account, the cluster role, the role bindings, etc. Let's see it in action. Let's see how we can deploy to multiple clusters using Argo CD. Yeah, let's see how we can set up multiple clusters basically first. Uh, as I said, you can use the Argo CD cluster setup command. Yeah, cluster add command. I have this context called cluster68 context. So I'll be giving the name of my choice. So once you have it, you just click on approve and it, it says it's added. So it will be added. So if you could just see just to confirm. Yeah, it has added my cluster. It is successful. And then once you have the cluster, you can deploy it to pretty much both your dev and prod environments. Yeah, let's see that in action. Once you have the clusters, now you can deploy it to multiple environments. Let's say dev and a prod. The dev and prod can go to two different clusters now. Let me install one after one. Let me delete the old one first. Yeah, so once you have the clusters added, you can use one cluster for dev and one cluster for prod. For now, we'll be using the 68 cluster for the prod, and the in cluster will be using it for deploying the dev environment. So yeah, this is my repository, and I already have the chat. It's the same application converted to a chat, and let me just deploy it one after one. So the production is being deployed to a different cluster. The same way, I'll deploy the dev. Yeah, let's just confirm. Yeah, it has deployed everything. Everything is in healthy. So if you could observe, the production applications are deployed to a different cluster called 68 cluster. And then if you look at the dev environments, it is deployed to in cluster, which is the same cluster where ArgoCD is deployed. This is how you set up multiple clusters and deploy it to them respectively. Yeah, and just to show you the role-based access controls defined, I already have the policies defined here. So there is the rules defined here is has almost all access to the namespace, and that is binded to a service account. So this service account was referenced here as the role-based access control policy for it to deploy to dev and the production environments. So was all about the multi-cluster deployments. And coming back to our slides, the last core concept of today's is observability. Yeah, the workloads inside the ArgoCD namespace, the server, the controller, and the repository server exposes its metrics at the slash metrics endpoint. So you'll have to use the monitoring stack, and you have to configure such that you scrape all the metrics that the ArgoCD is exposing in your Prometheus. Once that is done, you can use the public dashboards that has all the data that has to be pulled. So that public dashboard can be used, and the data source, the Prometheus can be added as a data source to query all the metrics that you need. And additionally, which is the most important thing, is you'll have to configure the alerts using the alert manager, and then you can set expressions such that using the metrics that it has given, you can frame an expression and give a condition and where a condition fails, and you can trigger alerts to let's say a Slack or any third party application where you want to be notified. Just to show you a demo on how the dashboards has been set up, how you can set the dashboards up. So it is in already deployed. I have the Grafana and Prometheus already deployed. So if you can see the Prometheus, and if you just see the targets, just in case to get the alert working. So all the scrape configuration has been enabled already, and then I'll just mimic a incident. So just to be alerted on on an incident, I'll just put down the ArgoCD server, and you can see here that I've got an alert that the server is down. And this is how you can use your observability and incorporate it in your GitOps workflows, so that you are aware on the incidents that happen. And some of the common GitOps pitfalls to avoid are hard coding the secrets. As I already mentioned, you can use the external secret manager such as HashiCorp Vault or or secrets operations. It's an open source tool. And then you can use Helm hooks. Don't use the Helm hooks carelessly. It can cause infinite sync loops. It should be used it should be used carefully. Post that, we should not overness the app of apps pattern. It causes complexity, and it will be harder to debug at times. And and weak and inconsistent role based access controls can uh, lead to the wrong access to the wrong team members. So that is also a thing to keep in mind. And no alerting on sync. Let's say there is no observability in your GitOps workflow, and your first incident is when the production goes down, and by that time you are already late. So these are the few things to keep in mind. And just to conclude, Git is your single source of truth. ArgoCD is your robot that deploys it, and app of apps pattern comes with power and responsibility. You'll have to carefully use it and not nest all the apps. And CI and GitOps are best friend best friends. It doesn't replace the GitOps doesn't replace the CI. And then observability isn't optional, it is essential, so that cannot be skipped. And finally, simplicity skills. You don't need 100 tools, you just need a approach done right. Yeah, and that concludes my talk on ArgoCD. You can check out my GitHub in the GitHub link in the description. It has all the repository links for the sample apps that we discussed. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. See you in the next one.